Thanks to Dima Proc, I spent more money. Thanks, Dima. I really needed to upgrade my trim game, and this video was the kick in the butt I needed. Well, since I started reloading brass and found you need to trim it. I was looking at the three-way head trimmers and really wanted one, but the cost and I figured, well, do that later. But unfortunately, after I bought the Lyman Universal, I found there aren't any three-way head trimmers that fit it. Now, being that Lyman and Forster are under the same roof, you would think that they'd have one to fit it. But no, it's like the ugly duckling. The other trimmers, yeah. the Forster head will fit a lot of their other trimmers, because I think they're just rebranded, some of them anyway. So, but this one, out of luck, so be warned. And by that time, it was too late, so I was kind of stuck. Now I did go with the power attachment, and they say they are for power screwdrivers, and I've read reports of these things breaking when using a drill, so I built a little stand to take the the weight off, and it just glides back and forth, and that solves the problem. Happen to have a nice piece of plexi laying around, and made it where two screws, and the whole thing's removable if I want to hand crank. Even though there's just enough room, you can do it, and the others, that angle, give enough room to do those. But yank that off and they're all free to do whatever. There are some pros and cons to the Hornady. One being that the shell holder and this handle will spin 360 degrees while you're working. The handle, you unscrew it to change the shell holder, so it has to. But as you're working, this will all, just keep on rotating. And if this handle rotates, a revolution clockwise, it tightens up too much. There's a base in there, a pin, and you won't be able to put your brass in there. So to alleviate that, the old clip here, it stops it right there, and you know where it is. That was one thing to kind of like about this universal chuck, because once you loosen it, it stops on the base, and this opening, you can follow right where it's going to be, where it's going to stop. But what I didn't like about it was it didn't always clamp the brass well, and you start trimming it and the brass would spin and cock and cut it all funky, and plus all this extra play, there's none of that. But that's as far back as it can go, and there's just enough room to get my brass in there. There's probably a 1/16 of an inch. And tighten that up. And there's a beautifully trimmed piece of brass, and one go. Chamfer, deburred. And I find that when I did it by hand, I took more meat out of it. So there's a flatter edge here. When I would do it by hand, even though I didn't go a lot, I did like a couple of revolutions, this was almost a knife edge compared to what this trimmer does. And doing it by hand, the outside, the burr, was never quite as smooth as this. So, yeah, it's much better. Yeah, there's definite upsides to it. What I'm trying to figure is, would a 20 cal, or yeah, work for jackets, and just trim that all at once, because those things are small and hand cramps up when I'm deburring them and chamfering them, because you gotta clean them out. So I wonder. I'm debating on that because it's an expense. These things are about $60 or so. But down the line, that may just be the way to go, speed things up, because this, turning 3 processes into one just cuts out hours, well, possibly days for me, because that's what I'm doing right now. That's some of my second fired brass, and that's just getting started for what I've got to do. Because I just cleaned up my range pickings, and I got this one to do. There's 19 pounds, so there's probably 1,200 pieces in there. I've deburred the flash holes. I got to assuage the primer pockets and trim them. That's what I got left on those. But yeah, I got some work ahead of me. And this, like, when I said days, you see what I'm talking about. Instead of, trimming them and then chamfering, then deburring. Oh, God. It never ended. So, yeah, if you do like this, do like this. You will be happy. It's money well spent. Like you guys using like world's finest trimmers and stuff. Same idea, except, indexing off the base instead of off the shoulder. So that's really, I think that's the main difference. But this is still the three-way trimming action. I'm not so sure about indexing off the shoulder. I like more like the idea of going off the base. So for me, this is the way to do it. But anyway, yeah. I'd like to do that first. Beautiful, done. In a third of the time. All right. Well, I'll leave you with that, and have a good one. God bless. See you.